Editing Kathy here, popping in at the beginning of my video. So during the course of the Chatty video, I talk about how I cheated my way through my graduate student French language thing, which is true. I did do that. But I think part of the reason why I'm so blasé about it is that it was my third language. I had it for 7 years in high school in Germany. I got my high school exam. I wrote a long essay, a fairly long essay in French on some novel, not a canonical work, and so I did have some French, but I guess if push had come to shove, I would have been able to do a French thing, but since there was this option of just doing a French, they just didn't care. I took the easy way out, so to speak. So I don't want to make it sound like I had no French whatsoever and passed. It was like it was there, but I would have had to have done more work of a certain type of work that I wasn't really interested in doing at that point to get it to where I could pass a reading exam. And actually, come to think of it, I even had tutoring with someone because I thought this would be coming down the pike that I would have. I remember I had tutoring with a French speaker, getting ready to do a course, and then for some reason, I didn't know that people did this, or maybe I thought I should do it, and then I just did the course, the graduate level course in English, which of course was pretty easy. I mean, it was just an English grad level course. Anyway, that's just a bit of an explanation as to why I'm sort of so nonchalant about that third language exam thing. Thought I would clarify that a little bit. Au revoir! Hello everyone, and welcome back to a Chatty reading update for this week of December. And I have my trusty little planner, reading journal planner, that is going well, and I could even do a whole video like on my planning with it, but I'm not going to do that now. So let's see, today is the 19th of December, so Thursday, and I chatted with you last Thursday on the 12th, as I recall. And so we're getting into nesting, cozy Christmas the way we do it, which is unlike most people, I think, simply because we do nothing, but that's wonderful. And I had that inside, the minimal epiphany of, everyone is so stressed with getting gifts for everyone and their long lists of people. And I'm sure I hope that makes them happy. We think that that's what makes them happy because doing nothing is what makes us happy. We don't even gift. It's not a love language for us. He's hard to buy gifts for. So what we end up is gifting ourselves stuff. Like he's not going to be able to buy me stickers that I like. He barely knows what Hobonichi is. So, point being, I have no clue, like all the garden stuff he buys, the seeds. I open the fridge and there are seeds in the fridge. And that's just us, I know it's not, that's what I'm saying, it's not typical, but it's the way we like it. And we have a little family because we have our 4 cats and each other. And we could buy them gifts. Maybe we will. I mean, I bought them the sofas and something else, like a little scratchy thing. They're pretty spoiled. So I think we're good. And so we're just hunkering down. What I did this morning was I stumbled across a list of Christmas movies, and there are actually some that I wouldn't mind looking at or rewatching or even seeing for the first time. I've never seen Gremlins, which I think might be funny. And then there's the oldies but goodies like Charlie Brown, and even things like Frosty the Snowman or Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer might be fun to watch. I don't know. We'll see if we're in the right mood for that. And some old-timey movies. So let's get into the reading. So let me see. It's going quite well. The Tom Jones read-along is going well, and the plot is plotting. And so I found out, a lot of historical background, or just tidbits here and there. So it is a response to Clarissa. It's supposed to be from the male perspective to my favorite book, I think of last year. Clarissa was my favorite book. And so he's trying to portray Jones as a flawed but likable person. I think the case is being made for him being realistically good. Like he's still someone who sometimes gets lets a certain body part make decisions for him that that body part shouldn't. But you know, we know that that's kind of still quite a bit of an issue sometimes with the male of the species. But and so now, in terms of the plotting, it's come out that his highest standing older friend's daughter is the female lead, Sophia, and they like each other. They love each other. Perhaps they love each other, and so what's happening right now is the sort of Clarissa-esque being very, very angry at them for that reason, and Jones has been sort of kicked out of his situation with his adopted parent, and so we'll see what happens. I don't know how. I still have this much to go, and so yeah, there's still a lot to happen, and it's one of these long reads, and so it's quite exciting. So to sort of just read for plot now, and it's still very 18th century. It's very wordy, funny. I just had a scene where the rich guy, Weston is his name, he's an uncouth fellow. There's one funny dialogue where at the end he says, where is it? They're fighting. Him and the aunt, his sister, are fighting, and he's been going on and on about he hates the kings, the Hanover kings. He's very anti them. And then it's something like, thou art one of those. Okay, she says something, and then he says, "Ho, are you come back to your politics? As for those, I despise them as much as I do a F-T." And then Fielding narrator writes, which last word he accompanied and graced with the very action which of all others was the most proper to it. So he basically, which is funny. So he at the end of it he farts, and so you know the point being not Jane Austen, and not even Clarissa, like bringing it down, but in a funny readable way. I'm enjoying it, and I go occasionally. I'll go to the hashtag on Blue Sky, and we'll have little chats. There's one fellow, one with reader. Who's good at contextualizing, and he just posted about how it helps to know your Walter Scott to understand the Jacobite stuff that's going on, and I don't completely understand the Jacobite stuff that's going on. I mean, I know about the Hanover Kings, but I'm a little bit, I need to do some Wikipediaing or reading up on the whole Jacobite stuff. The Pretender, is it Bonnie Prince Charles? Maybe it's Bonnie Prince. I don't know. And then Scottish stuff. Yeah. So I'll come back to you on that. No worries. Other reading. I'll go. The main one has been The Listen, the Fortunes of War. Let me tell you a little bit about what I've dipped into in the meantime. My work of great artistic pleasure, but also it's very, very dense, and it is a little bit hard to come back into it from not being in it. And that is the Peter Weiss book, The Aesthetics of Resistance. And now he's this German Marxist guy from the get-go his whole life. First published in 1975, so it's a book from the 1970s. It's all about these resistance, these communists in Nazi Germany, and it's very well written in this kind of very high earnest tone. Like the voice is very high and earnest, and dare we say dense. So what you get are people pontificating in beautiful, high literary value German about the oppression of the worker and how its connection to the aesthetics of resistance, and how it kind of the working class and sort of the kind of how that plays out through art. And what is interesting to me is how nuanced he is in his knowledge of history in a kind of big sweep way in terms of aesthetics, the history of aesthetics, and sort of another sort of, I've mentioned this before, how I despair at the lack of historical, being able to put things into a correct historical context, a somewhat nuanced historical context, specifically in terms of art, for example. Like I said that before, like when you see an artwork, can you place it? And this is sort of one of these works of art, literary art, that is so drenched in a knowledge of that stuff. And that's what gives me joy, to read someone who really knows of everything about, or enough to make these connections. And of course, it is coming from a pretty, what's the word? So I don't know how Weiss felt about Stalin. I'm hoping he felt the right way about Stalin, namely that he's as bad as Hitler, and he was I'm pretty sure he did. But it's still, it's pretty doctrinaire. It's pretty dogmatic. Lenin, socialism, communism. He's a committed anti-fascist in that sense, to the point of being these are communists, basically, young communists, and you have to be okay with that. And sort of, I think it's really interesting, actually, to get there. And the fact, and partly because it's amazing that they're still alive in Nazi Germany, because a lot of the communists, they were the first to be killed by the Nazis. And then became more and more, even the Social Democrats, people, anyone who was not completely on their side, or perhaps a political, was at least squelched or repressed and had to be quiet about it. You had to shut up, or you were killed. And so, and I know how this is going to end. They are not going to survive this. But in the meantime, we get these long pontifications, these long sort of discourses on that kind of read like a book, like a textbook almost, but they're still very good. And so because I'm sort of reading it in, this is a book that will take me my whole life, like the other one on there, and I come back to it, and I had to check who's discoursing now, and it's actually the mother of one of the main characters. So, and she's going on for pages and pages about how the role of art and stuff, and I won't do a complete summary. I might at another time. And this is only like two or three pages I'm talking about of this massive work. It is kind of split up into 3 novels. I have all these long books that are split up into other novels. And I think even on the Goodreads, I'm counting it separately, like decided to split it up just so it seems a little bit more manageable. I would have to be very, very dedicated to reading it. I mean, it's almost like I don't even know if I'll ever finish it, but we can hope. But I love what I'm reading about, so it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really bother me that much that I'm not finishing it. I'm looking at my Goodreads, and I only read 29 books apparently. Some of them very long, and quite a few of them I listened and read. My score is very low, and that does sometimes make me sad, but not too sad because I get so much enjoyment out of what I read. And I'm a realist. I get tired, I work, I do sometimes waste time, but maybe I need it. Maybe I need to waste time for my mental balance. I don't know. But I know that compared to a lot of other people on the booktubes, that's a very low number. 29 books is ridiculous. That's what they read in 2 weeks. I don't know how. My brain can only take so much, and it's as if it's firing when I'm awake enough. I'm thinking about all kinds of things anyway, so it's sort of like I don't know how I would manage having very high numbers of books that I read. I think I would get overwhelmed. There is the overwhelm issue too, and you see how I am kind of in my own space here with quite a few things going on, even though I'm not finishing them. That's the thing, or I'm only reading a chunk of them, but then I have lots to say about it. So each their own, right? Let me get one thing. So I know I'm a project person, and sometimes the projects linger or languish even, but sometimes I'll come back to them. And so connected to a summer project, which was the French one, which it didn't get very far with it. I had a French book about 1848, and I wanted to read Georges Sand and all that good stuff. I am reading Zola still, so that's still going on. I mean, not right now, but I'm thinking about how I kind of fell off Duolingo completely, and I was doing French, and I decided because of a bunch of YouTubes I found of this man who has gone through this book, which I have already adorned with some stickers because it's a used copy and I want to make it, it's not that in good shape, so it doesn't really matter. So I apologize for the stickers I put on here. So he's gone through, he does all these little videos going over this book, and I don't even know how useful they'll be.
But I decided what really counts for me is being able to read French. I can speak it well enough. I don't have that much of a desire to speak it, or even maybe even going there as for me, what's important is reading the works, knowing what is being said in French in a book. And so that's why I'm pretending I'm a grad student and need to do my French reading exam, which I actually had to do, but they, at UMass, we basically were able to cheat our ways through it, full confession, because they let us take a course in English and even write a paper in English. So did I even read some French? It was basically complete. And at that point, I didn't care enough. I just wanted to get the degree. And so it was a really interesting course. And I wrote a paper on Bernard Clairvaux. But it was connected to the cheese book, Ginsberg. Like, it was a historical, and we read some Foucault, so completely out of what I usually read in terms of, other Pomo stuff over in the complet department. But it all worked out fine. I got through without knowing any French. So I guess that is a kind of form of cheating, whatever. To be honest, I don't care right now. I'm still interested in learning French. And because we had to have 3 languages. You had to have English, and I had German, of course, and I had quasi French. And there was no test or anything. It was just passing a graduate level French class, and they didn't specify what kind. So ergo, you could take a French class taught in English and pass, which is cheating, but whatever. I don't care. But now I do want to go back, and so this is the project. I'm going to have to figure out how to sort of systematically go about it during the day, like what and I've started a little bit, but I haven't had enough time to really get started on it, so I'll keep you posted. And what's good about the book is it's an old book, and the professor said on the video it's never been republished because no one wants to do it better. And it's all predicated on the fact that this person says at the beginning, it says to the student, because a graduate student's time is usually at a premium, this text has been designed to enable you to work at your own speed. And then they go through how it's structured. And the 2 authors, Carl Sandburg and Edison Tatham, I don't know. And so you get it's just grammar and readings, and you test yourself all the time. So I think it's going to be good. I will give it a go. And I'm glad I have this book, because I really only care about reading French. I don't really care about going there, sure. But I think I'm not worried about that part of it. I don't really care about communicating that much. I just want to read. Let's see. And then last but not least, let's talk about my great listen, which is Olivia Madding's Fortune of War. I'm already on the 3rd section, Friends and Heroes. And it's an amazing novel. I think it's really, really good. And she's just a very good writer, very good, good descriptions of the atmosphere. Now, the setting is gone from Bucharest to Greece, Athens. And so we get their lives in Athens, and how they even got to Athens is very exciting, and sort of because they're running away from Nazis basically to all these other countries, and so they're in Athens. And I think I read her wiki page, and it sort of went on about she had the reputation for being very her nickname was Olivia Moaning. I identify with someone who liked to complain a lot. So she kind of, but people do sort of recognize her greatness as a writer. Apparently she was a very sort of, and writers can be this way, don't I know, being the daughter of one. They have sort of sensitive egos, and they can get very sort of jealous of other writers' success. And apparently that's how she was with 2 other writers, specifically, I think Woolf. Am I right if it's Woolf or someone else? And someone called Stevie Smith, who I don't know who that is. And so it's kind of like you get all this negative stuff about her, but then you get the book, and the way she's presented, she writes the book, she seems perceptive, she seems, on the one hand, what I like about it is so one of the main relationships is to her husband, who is a piece of work, let's face it. Guy Pringle, real name Smith, Reginald D.H. Smith or whatever his name is, R.D., he's a piece of work. And from the get-go, you kind of realize that she's starting to realize what a piece of work he is, in the sense that he's good looking, he's handsome. You get the sense that's kind of why she got swept off her feet with marrying him after only knowing him for a couple of months, I guess. But he's an extreme extrovert, and he gets his power and charisma and from having everyone love him, not just his wife, and specifically not his wife. He's also, like a lot of people, and there's a big queer subtext in here. There's a lot of homosexuality and sort of repressed, or at least not talked about, homosexuality. So sociality, the chumminess between the guys, and then the sort of relationships. There's sort of shades of how do the non-practicing homosexuals feel about the ones that are closeted, but you can just tell that they're a couple, and so there's a lot of that stuff going on. It's a lot of sort of men among men tolerating or not tolerating this woman in their midst, because he's the only one that has a wife. It's a bunch of guys on their own. I think they're all either nothing, no degrees or lesser degrees, or Cambridge. I don't know if there's anyone from Oxford. There might be. But there is a sense of Cambridge, which from what I know, first of all, you get all the he's not only is he an extrovert and sort of into being admired by the masses or a bunch of people, as opposed to he's not very good at a one-on-one relationship. He doesn't want that. He doesn't really want the intimacy that, of course, she wants or thought would be a part of getting married, because that's kind of what you think. He's just not into it at all, because he's a guy, and he's this kind of guy. Also, he's a Bolshevik. He's kind of like the people in my other book there, but more annoying because he's not inside Nazi Germany. He's kind of, and he's also seems to be, I don't know, you don't get these long lectures about the nitty-gritty of intellectual stuff. You get more his external appearance and how he interacts, and he's very much a socialist or communist, Bolshevik, but he's also pro-Russia in the way that I haven't got, well, I guess these people are pro-Russia too. They're at least pro-Lenin, but he sort of seems to be, all these countries need to, I don't know, he just seems a bit more naive, much more naive than the people in the other book. And so, and she sees it too, the character in who is a stand-in for her, of course, sees his limitations and is beginning to see more and more of his limitations, to the point where he's basically sort of almost like, you seem you get the feeling he'd be completely okay with her having an affair, and I think in reality they did, both of them though. And so it's as if they're married, but that's about it. That's like, it's just that they're married and they get along like friends. It's nothing. And so she's always, and she is more bourgeois. She is more, and what I like about it, going back to what I actually wanted to say, which was how you're not always on her side. She doesn't win every time that they have an argument about how to spend their time or who to prioritize. And he is always wanting to prioritize helping people and helping the underdog. And she is more about him wanting for him to be more ambitious and a little bit more like bourgeois, I guess. And he's not having that much of it. He's having, he's nice to her. He's not mean. He's just self-centered and selfish sometimes about what he just does what he wants to do, and he wants her to do what she wants to do, but sometimes she wants to do stuff with him and he doesn't want that. It's not an untypical situation, but it's done really well, and we're just at this point where they've had a fight about something, and she's realizing how she'll never have all of him. And I do know this from, just going through the world. If you have a partner who is extremely sort of involved or wanting or needing other people to the point of not needing you as much or wanting you or not being content with just you, it can be problematic. And perhaps specifically if it's a man who's like that, the one who wants to sort of be the life of the party all the time. Or center of attention. That's more, he wants to be the center of attention and not just one person's attention. And I'm already at 23 minutes, which will be a little bit shorter because I'm going to cut a few longer pauses out. But it's a highly readable novel, and I'm going to say, if you want Jane Austen but married to a Bolshevik who went to Cambridge and who's,
running about Eastern Europe during the Second World War. This is it. This is modern Jane Austen. She's very perceptive, and she makes, like, when a new character is introduced, it's like she makes it exciting. Like you can just tell it's going to go badly, or how she's really good at characterizing all these strange men. Basically, it's almost all men so far. There's one lady that she has a friendship with who's also kind of strange, but it's good. It's good in the way that I thought Jane Austen was good, but it's more modern, and it's sort of so it's better in a sense. Not better, but just different. So very good, and I'm enjoying it a lot, and I listen to it a lot, and then I look at it a lot. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit upset with this edition of it. It is kind of breaking. I haven't mishandled it that too much. I'm a little bit rough on my books. The French book's falling apart. That was a used book anyway, but this one wasn't, I don't think. Oh, maybe it was. Maybe I got it from these half-price books. It was used, but it was in pretty good condition, and the binding's losing a little bit of its consistency. And so yeah, that's where we're at. All Christmas cozies, pre-Christmas cozies, or holiday cozies, whatever you want, festivus, whatever. It's funny for me how Christmas is such a big deal, considering, you know, I'm basically a heathen. Grew up with heathens, lapsed Protestant parents who were still kind of into Christmas. And of course I had the summer Christmases, which were interesting. And then 12 went over to winter Christmases, which was also interesting, and of the German variety. And then now American Christmases. And so yeah, on that note, happy week before Christmas to you all. There's one other thing, a couple other things, but I'm not going to worry about them. I might make another video about another thing. We'll see. I think I'm just blathering right now. Yeah, next week is Christmas. This Sunday is the 4th Advent. Correct. So happy pre-Christmas time to everyone, and I'll just probably go on and make another video after Christmas, next Thursday or so, on the 26th. We'll see how things go. And thank you all for watching, and pretty soon I'll do my top whatever. Maybe I'll just rank all the books I read, since I only read 29. That sounds like a good idea. Talk to you later, and thank you all for watching and saying nice comments, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.